everyone. Thanks for coming. Time for a chat. Been a couple months. Some of you may think I'm a little shorter now than I was. And that's the Carlisle expansion. We're getting there though. We're getting there. Thanks for coming today. I guess nothing good on TV, huh? Everybody feeling good? Good. If not, you need to go home now. The fiscal cliff is a hoax, just like climate change. It'll be a cold day in January before you hear another complaint out of me. I know her. I resolved to be just a little bit nicer to people who do exactly what I want. Oh, Mark, this is awesome. Let's text a picture to the kids. And I am there all the time. My kids are constantly looking down at their phones. I don't even see their faces anymore. My mother's resolution is to eat more vegetables, and my resolution is to help her by giving her mine. There you go. So New Year's resolutions, you go first. I've resolved to stop being judgmental of others. We resolved to start using herbal remedies instead of going to the doctor. I just broke my resolution. It was judgmental. COVID-19 in Westminster. Our numbers since January 1st. We've had 40 cases amongst the residents, mostly in independent living. This is since the first of the month, that's right. Mostly with mild symptoms. Who's had it and was just really terribly sick? Oh, really? Who had sniffles? A little bit of weakness, little sniffles with COVID? Not going, anybody go to the hospital? That's good, I didn't think so. About 13 cases amongst our associates, mostly mild symptoms there as well. Some folks are asymptomatic, they're not having any symptoms at all, but we're testing, so when we test, we're finding people positive. So we are posting the numbers on the resident portal, and we're trying to update it at least weekly. I am not producing gobs and gobs of paper as we did when the pandemic started. Number one, we're in a different place than we were when the pandemic started, right? We had no idea what to do, and we weren't vaccinated, and everything was guessing, and CDC was constantly rolling out updates. So at that point in time, it was very important to keep everybody informed to the cases. Now, you know, we're basically isolating ourselves for the mild flu, right? We do recommend wearing a mask in the large venues and things like that, but for the most part, we're having mild symptoms. I'm not answering any quick. No, I'm just kidding. Ms. Gerling, what can I do for you?
I'm concerned that people that have COVID are not staying in their apartments.
Me too, and I addressed one yesterday.
And if there are couples, one of them has COVID and the other's going around like.
Yeah, we addressed that, and it was brought to our attention yesterday,
Thank you.
and we addressed it. We do ask that you stay in your apartments in quarantine for the full 10 days. Now, naturally, you know, if you have an outside appointment or something, you just need to wear your mask and then, you know, go to your appointment. But you should not be in the amenity spaces. You should not be here. Anybody here under quarantine? I didn't think so. I was going to call security with the taser to come on, but I didn't think so. For the most part, you all are. This is a good group right here. Those are the people that come to my chats. Those are the well-behaved folks. The other ones, not so much. All visitors must continue to screen in. Associates and visitors must wear a mask in the assisted living and healthcare levels of care that's required. We had an infection control survey because we had a couple of cases in the healthcare center and assisted living. The infection control survey left with no deficiencies. There's still no limit to visitors for breakfast and lunch. That we'll open that up to dinner soon. Transportation services are at full capacity. We do recommend masks. Guests are allowed in audience for activity programs, quarantine only for those who are symptomatic or had contact with somebody that's symptomatic. Continue to practice good hand hygiene, stay home if you're ill. If you're not feeling well and you're in doubt, even if you think it's like, oh, I really have allergies bad, it'd be better to wear a mask than not. Health center visitation is limited to 2 again. Everyone, including residents, must wear a mask if you can even get into the healthcare center. It's kind of confusing right now. I'll talk about that in a minute. Please follow all precautionary guidelines. Questions and answers. Question: when will the renovations to the bathrooms in the solarium and the Laurel be completed? These are pending fixtures. The renovations will be completed as soon as possible, goal within 2 weeks. We were told that these fixtures were gonna be in quickly, and for one reason or another, they have not arrived. As soon as they do arrive, we'll put them in and get those bathrooms open. Are the resident directories being kept up to date? Nope. They are not. They are now. They are currently being audited and updated, and this should be completed by February 1st. And they'll be updated weekly going forward. I think during the transition from Megan to Caitlin, isn't it? Something fell through the cracks. That's just something. So I apologize for that. If we, Westminster, have a liquor license, can we bring in the winery fundraiser? Yes. I think I've talked about this in a previous chat. We haven't got our liquor license yet because the city of Austin does not like to say yes to many things. But we're working on it. I purposely arranged for each venue, each restaurant, to be licensed separately. So I mentioned this before, the Laurel and the Rowan will have a liquor license. The Bistro will not, nor does Westminster as an entire entity. So since the city of Austin makes me and us pay for separate food permits for each one of our locations, each one of our restaurants, I use that against them in saying that instead of licensing the whole thing, we should be able to license per restaurant, right? So that we can maintain that flexibility. So when you want to have a tailgate party up here and it's free beer and wine, you can continue to do that, just as you did before. If the Bistro, you'll be able to bring your own. In the Laurel dining room and the Rowan, we're gonna allow you to bring your own, but we have to charge you a corkage fee. It's gonna be like $2, okay? I think a lot of places are like 10 or 15, $20. We're gonna charge $2 for the corkage fee, so we can open the bottle for you and assist you with it. You can't give it away in a location that you're selling. So that's why we're doing that. Question: can you update us on the progress on the ground floor of Preston? Yes, I have this in a further slide as well, but the fitness annex is complete. The theater is complete except for AV, audiovisual. Hidden Treasures is complete except for cabinets and some shelving that the Hidden Treasures committee's asked for. The pottery studio is still work in progress, as is the woodworking area. The woodworking areas, we're having to do some electrical work in there. We have painted, we've bought some equipment, like a sawdust filter and things like that. Those will be installed soon. Question: do you have a date for the next Laurel remodel with cocktail lounge, when that will take place, and the liquor license? So I kind of answered the liquor license already, and no, I don't at this time. I can tell you that we're working on a design over the next several months, and I will present that at another chat. When will potential tax deduction letters be distributed for residents? That should be done in the middle of February. That's typically what we try to do. Usually the second week of February we have those out. Those are the tax letters that we send for medical deduction. Question: can you please remind residents when to put out trash? When to put out trash? Please do not place trash outside of your apartment on weekends. Please only place trash in the hall on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Before when? 9 a.m. Right. When are we gonna pick up? 9:30. We don't wanna trip over anybody's trash in the hall, and we don't wanna smell it, and we don't want it leaking on the carpet either. So please abide by that. Question, there is a lot of confusion about the new Wi-Fi system being installed. Apparently, there are two systems, one by Spectrum and one by a firm with a name beginning with I. Residents would like to understand what the new services will provide that we do not have now. Inspire Wi-Fi is the current campus Wi-Fi. Spectrum is the new Wi-Fi being installed in each apartment. So there's, how many of you have a wire or a couple wires in your ceiling now? Most everybody? That is for a new wireless access point. So they're gonna have a wireless access point that gets installed onto those wires. And that's gonna provide a Wi-Fi signal from Spectrum within your apartment. It'll cover all your devices, all your smart devices, your smart TVs and your laptops and your tablets and all those fun things that you're using. And that's gonna provide really crystal clear, fast Wi-Fi service within your apartment. Then the Inspire Wi-Fi system is still gonna stay on the campus, but it's providing service in all the common spaces. So you're gonna have two really good Wi-Fi signals. Anywhere on the campus, you'll have some Wi-Fi signal, but two systems are gonna provide it. Inspire Wi-Fi, which is Westminster Wi-Fi, that is the Inspire system, and then the Spectrum system is coming. Any questions with regard to Wi-Fi? You know the best thing about it? You're not being charged anything extra for it. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yes, sir?
We have coax in our individual router. Will we still get the Inspire system?
Yes, you will still have it. So the question is, if you have coax and your own system, will you still get the Inspire? And yes, you will. You'll also get provided the Spectrum stuff, and you can choose to discontinue your current Wi-Fi system if you want to, or you can keep them all. And you can have 3, and you can tell people at dinner, I have 3 Wi-Fi systems. Yes, sir. Right.
What would happen to the current My Wi-Fi?
It will stay. It'll still be there, and it may bleed into your apartment. Sounds a lot worse than it is, really.
Yeah.
You may have coverage into your apartment, but the Spectrum signal is gonna be much stronger for your devices to sit on. Okay? Let's see here. Can you update us on this? Yes, you'll have a new password. Everybody's gonna have a password for their system within their apartment. Can you update us? The password on the common space Wi-Fi, the My West Wi-Fi is really easy, right? WM Rocks #1. So Chuck Worst. Anyway, that's where that came from. Can you update us on the status of the community signage? Yes, the interior signage is being rebid, and we will move forward into production when the bid is agreed upon. That is a nice way of saying that the pricing came in a lot larger than the budget I had planned. I think signage might be a good business for all of us to get into. Maybe a great fundraiser for us. We just make our own signs. The exterior signage is mostly complete with the exception of the monument sign by the flagpoles. This will be completed over the next couple weeks. The interior signage, I had a conference call with them, I believe it was Monday, and I'm working on the pricing. It was like, I whittled them down about $55,000 if everything comes through, which I thought was worth a conversation. So I'm trying to get that down to within the budget. Can you explain what Westminster does to secure our campus with regard to contractors? Yes, and there was I think there was a story in AARP magazine about somebody posing as a contractor and sneaking into a community and stealing and hurting people. We continue to have all contractors scan through the AccuShield system, and we limit contractors to only those that are approved by Westminster. We continue to communicate as work occurs so that you know that there's work in an area. That includes the Spectrum people, so we have a list of who's on site, and we continue to monitor that. To help with that, I would ask that you not allow people into a door, right, that they don't have access to. That means if Mojo Painting Service is here and they don't have a badge on, you don't let them in the door. Oh, girl, come on, just let me in. No, sir. You need to go to the back dock and scan in through maintenance or go into one of the lobby doors. Don't let anybody skirt around the system. Make sure that they all are directed to come into one of the lobby doors or the back dock, okay, of the Preston, so that they scan in. Can you give us some details regarding the makeover of the arbor entrance? Yes, I included that in the following slide, so I'll show you that in a minute. I've talked about this previously, but we're starting that work now. And I had hoped, I think I talked about previously, probably in October, that I had hoped to start that work already. And I'll tell you what has caused the delay is that the contractors, White Construction, was having difficulty getting enough labor in to finish the Carlisle building. And since the Carlisle had to be finished as quickly as possible so I could have residents moving in, I suspended the other job and said, I told them to concentrate on the Carlisle building. And even with that, the Carlisle building didn't open on my timeline. It opened on time, barely, right, Mrs. Miller? But it was a lot of pushing and pulling to get it done, but we were able to open. We got our certificate of occupancy officially Monday, which was about 3 weeks past when White had thought that they would get it to us. Luckily, I built enough time in the budget and also on the schedule that it didn't affect anybody's move-in. Everybody was able to move in the furniture, and we were able to move in the furniture as well. Could we have benches in the new walkways between Carlisle and the Windsor? Yes, I believe that is included in the package the designers are distributing now. So that if you've noticed, there's been multiple trucks bringing in furniture and fixtures for the Carlisle building. If they're not included in that, we'll add one on each bridge level, but I do believe it's in the project already. Question, how is the paperless bill program going? Who has paperless statements now? Anybody? How's it working? Thumbs up? Yeah, so it's working well. You're able to sign up for that. I think we have about 50 people participating in that. It saves paper. It's a little easier. You don't have to worry about those statements coming to your box. So consider that, or just reach out to accounting, reach out to the reception desk and tell them you want to do that, and they'll schedule you some time with accounting. So this is what we're working on with the arbor entrance. And basically, we're reconfiguring the admin suite. So this is this area here. And the folks that used to be in this area have now moved up to the second floor of the healthcare center, the arbor. And they're now in place of what used to be the old rehab gym. So the rehab gym was replaced with the new one that's in the Windsor infill tower, the Windsor expansion. And they're using that space and it's working out real well. And then those people, we reconfigured that space into offices. So the people here moved upstairs to those offices. And then this is gonna be reconfigured and we're gonna create a really neat meeting room here that the board and I will be able to use as well as residents. So you can have meetings in there, do presentations in there. It's another space, and this will be off the Windsor lobby. So this space is shut down, and we're removing the furniture in there today. And we donated a lot of furniture to the state school for their admin offices. And there'll be a construction wall that's going to be built here for about 6 weeks. And they're gonna be working in, this is phase one. So this whole slide is phase one. Once this is complete and the folks in the current memory care move to the new memory care in the Carlisle building and the assisted living moves, then we're going to shut down this corridor going to the current memory care. And that'll become part of the construction project as well. And that gets renovated. None of the spaces change in shape except for this. We're adding a, oh, sorry, I missed it. Right here, we're adding an entry lobby.
It doesn't work.
You're not seeing the pointer?
The laser light.
Okay. So we're creating an entry lobby into what'll be a rehab suite, right? So that memory care, all of that memory care is gonna be renovated, so painted, carpet, new furniture, and it'll become a rehab unit. So short-term stays primarily. And then this gets new flooring and paint as well, but most of the spaces stay the same except for this entry lobby. So instead of going all the way through here, you can enter through here as well. I'll go back to the previous slide and show you what I'm talking about, since my pointer's not working, probably needs a new battery. So this is the entrance into the arbor now, and it's being reconfigured, so there'll be a construction wall built here for about 5 to 6 weeks, and they're gonna be working behind that wall to do the demolition and reconfiguration of this space. That's phase one. After the memory care folks move to the new building and the assisted living move, then we're going to build a construction wall here as well. That will prevent you from using the elevators on this floor, and because that's all gonna be under construction. And it's not a lot, but it's gonna take about 3 months for the project to be completed, both phase one and phase two. Okay, once it does, then we'll have a new lobby entrance. The receptionist desk won't sit out in kind of the middle of the room anymore. It'll be pulled back here. There's gonna be a new meeting lounge space here, which is gonna be where primarily we have our board meetings. You can have committee meetings. You can use as well as the associates. And then this space in the back is where I moved to. So I'm actually in a 2-bedroom apartment right now in the Preston. And so the plan is for me to move to the Windsor building as well as Olga, and then Human Resources, so we'll be closer to the visitor parking that's on the west side of the campus. My office will be right here, and then HR and Olga will likely be there, and then our HR generalist will be in there as well. And then there's a small conference room in the back of the space. Any questions about that? Yes, ma'am. It will be placed on the portal, yes, when this meeting is over. Usually it takes us a day or so, but we'll get to there.
Can we still get to the courtyard?
You won't be able to get to the courtyard from the healthcare center lobby during the duration of the construction. Yes, sir.
I have a question regarding signage and what you've just done here. And that is, the Windsor building is the only building that's on 2 roads. And it's confusing to the Wings service, which is an airport service, and also to other kinds of persons, cars coming to pick up persons, like Uber, for example. So, it's been difficult to isolate what the Arbor entrance is, because they usually list it as a Bull Run address. Whereas the management, the marketing is listed as a Jackson.
Right.
So we've got 2 different addresses, and will they all be called Westminster? And obviously, the Carlisle will have a Bull Run address,
Bull Creek.
Bull Creek,
Yeah.
sorry.
So we reached out to, the thing about all of this is that the city and the addressing, agency, TCAD, they will not let you, get the address in place for like the Carlisle building until you actually have their certificate of occupancy. So some things have been held up. We reached out to them today. One state organization had us owned by the guy that owns Georgetown Square Apartments, that Carlisle building. Anyway, so we reached out to them, but so all of the addresses are being corrected in the system. We identified each with its own numbering. So the Arbor number is 4232 Jackson Avenue. I know, doesn't make any sense, that's what we were told. 4200 Jackson is the Windsor marketing lobby. And then 4100 Jackson, of course, is the Preston building. And we put all of these identifiers on the doors themselves. And then the new building, the Carlisle building, is 4300 Bull Creek. We didn't get to choose those addresses, but that's what they are. We're gonna put signage on the side of the building for the Carlisle, as we have 4200 on the Windsor building as well. And so we'll continue to work on that, but I think as the Carlisle building's address gets established in the system, it should straighten out the others as well. So we should have 4 active addresses, all of which are Westminster, but each of those lobbies identified as a specific address within the system. But it usually takes about 60 days for the systems to update. Yes, sir.
Will that include the U.S. Postal Services as well?
Yes, should include the U.S. Postal Service and UPS and all those folks, yeah.
Well, they all go to the Preston, don't they? UPS, they're not.
No, and what'll happen while the Arbor entrance is shut down, everything for the Windsor and the Carlisle will be delivered to the Carlisle lobby during these 90 days. And then, once it's open, then everything should go to what's a semblance of normal. So, but the Preston mostly receives 4100 Jackson packages. Yes, ma'am?
This slide says Carlisle. Your earlier one spelled it differently. How is the Carlisle building spelled?
Carlisle is correct.
Okay.
What was the other one?
You had a Y in there.
Yeah.
Now, you're confusing us,
Where?
Chuck. Oh, in one of your narratives
No,
earlier.
I apologize.
That's okay.
It's been a crazy week. I don't even know where I am anymore,
Years.
to tell you the truth. No, yeah, I apologize for that.
So it's Lisle then?
Carlisle.
Very good,
Yes.
thank you.
And you'll see many different spellings, but that's the one we
Like
voted
Arbor?
on. Yes, Arbor is supposed to be ARBOUR. And it's incorrect on a sign near the elevator.
Yeah.
And sign is going to kill me. Oh my God. The signs, and Mrs. Leach, you found a sign that was installed in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I've found several. And you know, there's a signage consultant and a signage designer and a signage producer. And they all don't talk to each other very well. But anyway, signs.
Thank you.
We're working on it, but yeah, we have some signs to correct, and still, like, Robin's sign, and by her office, it's supposed to be an office sign with 2 blanks in it, and it says Wellness Center on her office, so we have to have that one moved. There's just lots of stuff. I sent an email today saying I just need to walk through with the installers when they're next on site, which I believe will be next week, to finish that. Question, I understand there is no visitor parking in the Carlisle garage. Is that true? If so, isn't that a change from the original plan? Yes, it is. I had wanted to install the bar further into the garage, and we weren't able to do that. So what we did was, we installed the bars at the beginning of the garage, And what we're doing is we've started with our associates, residents that live in the Carlisle, and then caregivers that are here more than 20 hours a week. And we've given them key fobs with access to the garage. And they are to park on the second and third levels of the Carlisle parking garage. And as we go along over the next several weeks, we'll expand that. So if you have a loved one, maybe your daughter comes in and she checks on you every day. Maybe we'll assign a parking space for those individuals, or give them a key fob where they have access to park in the garage. But we really want to maintain our visitor parking spaces for just that, visitors, people that are coming in to apply for a job, or a person that's here maybe, once a month or a couple times a month, not to assign. We're trying to be diligent and efficient with our parking spots. Yes, ma'am?
How many hours can they stay in visitor parking? My helper got told after 2 hours,
They got towed?
after 2 hours.
That doesn't sound right.
No, we towed him.
I don't think so. Yes, that's right. And I will say that if a towing occurred, there's typically multiple violations, and they've been talked to multiple times. We don't typically tow on one occurrence. So if that caregiver told you that, send me an email and with their name, and I'll be happy to look into it. But that doesn't typically happen. Okay? So anyway, it's finished. So this is the rendering, right? I've showed you this picture. It looks like the rendering does. So, and I know that you're disappointed with the size of the dog park. You don't have to tell me, I've heard about it already. And it is, it's meant for an off-leash area. And, it is what it is. I imagine that we'll at some point add another one that'll be larger, but for now, that's what we have. This ended up looking like it's supposed to. This is where we're at. So we have had residents, about 4 apartments move into the Carlisle already. It did start, we were able to move in on 118 like we had planned all this time. Unfortunately, the residents couldn't stay in their apartments on 118. That's sad, isn't it? It was sad, because there was all this buildup and momentum and then just this letdown. But what we got on 118 was a temporary certificate of occupancy to stock. And I blurred the lines a little bit and said, well, stocking to me seems like moving furniture in. And if we're okay to move furniture into the common spaces, surely we're okay to move furniture into apartments. So we continue to do that. But we were live with our occupancy, temporary occupancy permit yesterday. So the Millers stayed overnight, and it worked out well. Two nights. Yeah. Now we're waiting on life safety inspection. So the life safety inspection has to occur, and you can't apply for that until after you receive the certificate of occupancy. So once you receive that, then you apply to the state for them to come survey your building and clear it for us to move our assisted living residents in to the new building, as well as our memory support folks. So so if you see me a little bit finagled, I guess, or my hair's not quite on fire, but I'm trying to get that stuff done. I'm trying to get people to do what we've asked them to do, and hopefully we'll hit the schedule. But I haven't actually received word that my 1:30 date is going to happen. So if it doesn't happen, then I have to move everything back a week or so. The good news is that the budget's kind of built around the assumption that we're not going to hit our dates. So I would love to, and I always have very aggressive timelines, but those timelines don't always work out. This is actually us moving into the space, and some of you have seen renderings of the restaurant, the cocktail lounge. It's very much what we thought it would be. The renderings are pretty accurate. This is not a Whataburger in the middle there, that orangish color. It's the private dining room. It has an unusual wallpaper on it. So, and then we're moving into the kitchen, as you can see, with all those supplies. It's amazing what it takes to stand up a kitchen in a restaurant. You know, just think of the skillets and the bowls and the cups and glasses and all the things that go into opening a restaurant. Just to give you, this is the finished product, so just to give you an idea, this is actually a sample of one of the signs that will be placed in each lobby, so you can identify the spaces throughout the campus. And there's a neat little video here. If it works. This is our project video, so this is kind of a summary of the project and all of the consultants and everybody working with one another.
You can measure success with the bottom line, with the dollars. You can measure it with the referrals that get you more business. You can measure it with how great it looks. I think if you can measure it in, you know, the humanity, I think that's the best measure, the greatest measure. And the other stuff tends to follow.
The thing about White Construction was that they were partners from the very beginning.
I think it's an incredibly challenging project. An occupied building is far more complex to renovate, construct. You got a lot of people you're trying to keep happy.
Well, the Westminster has a little bit of everything going on. It's an operating facility. We've added on to their 5-story Windsor Tower. And then the primary part is the Carlisle building, which is a 5-story concrete structure over 3 levels of subterranean parking.
The really tight spot, isn't it? 9.3 acres, and it needs to be about 16 acres, right in the heart of Austin, Texas.
Because it's somebody's home, the level of quality that we want to provide is got to be top notch. This is the last place that these people are going to live, and we want that to be great for them.
The corners are nice and crisp. The cabinets look great. The countertops, even the caulking and trim that you walk into a space. I mean, this has a spa feel to it. Attention to the details, which is one of our hospitality promises.
Trust with a GC is defined by if you get my phone number. So if you get to text me anytime, day or night, that means like we have that level of trust, and all of those guys have my number. It really is a collaboration.
You know, when a project like this is as complicated as it is, it really takes dedication from everybody that's involved to do a good job.
And so often with general contractors of their size and larger, it's not personal, right? There's not that relationship that's built. That's one thing that they do very, very well.
That's meant a lot, at least from my perspective, seeing White Construction and the way they act towards our residents. They have great respect for our residents.
Who knows what great things these people, you know, have contributed in their lives. And now for us to provide a place for them to enjoy the fourth quarter, I mean, for me, that's a really great thing.
This is all resident-created art, this entire hall. And some of these folks didn't learn to paint until they were like 92 years old. And Chris, she was upstairs at the dog show today, Kay Harms. It's extraordinary. I'd love to have that in my living room. The residents themselves have lived a life of purpose, right? And they still have purpose. They just need to be acknowledged. What are you all? Oh, the social hour. Very nice. You look so social. Did you enjoy the dog show today? Did anybody go to the dog show today? Fundraising put us over 60,000. So from the dog show.
You know, the construction project started shortly before the pandemic. It was a really sad time. We might not have anything, but we had a big window and the best view of the construction site. So I put a couple of chairs at the window and they started watching, and it's the greatest show there is. Well, let's write them fan mail.
One day I got a handwritten letter from a group that called themselves the Third Floor Admirers. I asked Chuck if it'd be okay if we reply, and he said, I think that'd be great.
And the next thing you know, we got a letter back. It was remarkable.
From then forward, you know, we had this pen pal relationship. You know, they'd admire the work we do and ask questions, and I'd answer them about why and how. I shared all those letters, by the way, with all of the workers.
On this one day in particular, Zane asked if I could get the residents to the window. And we looked out, and down below were all these construction guys. They had shut the job site down. They rolled out this big sign, "Thank you to the third floor admirers."
All of the workers autographed it, and then we gave it to the folks on the third floor as sort of a memento.
It was the first time I heard residents laughing, and they were literally cooing. It was like, oh, look, oh, look.
And they got this big applause from all the folks up in the window, and the guys down on the ground were applauding them back, you know, and they were really enjoying the whole thing.
The residents at an assisted living community in Texas were trying to beat the boredom of isolation. And then they found something truly special.
If you love stories of friendship and the unique ways beautiful bonds are formed, this one's gonna be a favorite.
And it was through one of the subcontractors that knew somebody who knew somebody that got the third floor admirer relationship on the Today Show.
Being on the Today Show, that's not normal.
It's not just another job. To see that level of interaction with the residents is incredible.
We're in grand service of grand people. White Construction and the team, everybody gets that.
And just the team, the project team is so close-knit.
No matter what the challenge was, they would take it in stride.
We've got a great team here between Westminster and LCS and Pi Architects.
The can-do attitude, you know, it's not a problem. It's like, how can we work through this? What is the best solution?
It's very, very nice when all of the people want the same thing and are pulling on the same end of the rope to achieve the same end.
And I hope that these guys that are out here building today, when we finish, that they can say the same thing, that this was the best project of my career.
Pretty neat video. So, just a little community update. Let me see if I can improve the picture here. Nope. Not quite. That didn't work either, did it? That's still small.
Waiting for a good job.
Can you all see that pretty well?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move on. I'll try to figure this out next time. So just the sound system has been installed, as you're aware, because we're using it. Installation of new AV equipment. So we have this screen that's working and the projector, but we don't have the others yet. And we're still waiting on some final control equipment. Most of it's been installed, so we're about 90% finished up here. I'm kind of waiting to pay them until they're completely finished. I'm asking for a date for that. The signage for the exterior we talked about already, the Spectrum Wi-Fi. So the Preston wiring has been complete on the residences. The switches and WAPs, wireless access points, those will be the next things that are going to be installed. And they're working on the Windsor on level 3 and working their way down. We're still pending schedule for the common doors in the Preston and Windsor for the keyless access. The solar roof project, all the work has been completed except the connection to the power system. And to do that, we're going to have to shut down for a couple hours to make the connection. So we have to schedule that, and we'll let you know way in advance when that's going to occur. And we want to do it on a day that's not going to affect, so not too cold and not too hot, right? Remodel the Preston ground floor. Like I said, the gym's been completed. Hidden Treasures is mostly completed. The theater is finished except for the AV. We put chairs in there recently, and that office should be ready to use. The pottery studio is pending a floor repair, and then we'll set it up. We have the equipment in. The kiln is already in place, and then we have the spinning wheels and stools and all that, so that'll be going in pretty soon. The boiler project for the Windsor, we had to resubmit it to the city with some corrections on it. This will improve the hot water in the Windsor. I know it's good now, but it'd be faster, and you'll have a better supply coming soon. The Preston boiler project has been approved by the city, and supplies and equipment have been lifted up on the Preston building. We'll be adding some more. They'll be doing some more crane lifts over the next few weeks to get that project started. And that's all the boilers in the Preston building being moved to the roof, and that should improve the hot water in that area as well. Information on recycling, if you need to know anything on recycling, just reach out to Stephanie and she'll be happy to help you if you don't have a recycling bin. Is there, everybody here have a recycling bin? Yeah, I thought so. Had it been a great year, I'm not gonna go through all of this, but 2022 was a great year, and we just recently received word that our management company, LCS, has received the J.D. Power Award for the 4th year in a row. So I have a little video for that too. So that's who I work for, right? And you, of course. 2023 has started off very well as well. We just received Best Nursing Home Honor Roll for this year. So that's U.S. News and World Report. And then I think you know that we were recognized as Best Independent Living Assisted Living as well. We received our certificate of occupancy, which was exciting for me. Somebody said to me the other day, wow, this expansion's really been fast. It's like, I'm glad you think so. It doesn't feel that way to me. But that's, so for me, and some of you know because you rode on buses downtown with me, right? The rezoning of this property was the start for my expansion, and that was almost 7 years ago. So I met with neighborhood associations and we got their support, and then started visiting the zoning planning and then the council and all of that. So it's been quite a ride. It hasn't been short, but anyway. So there's been a lot of debate about my facial hair, and so I thought for the last couple minutes that we would vote by applause if you prefer this look for me. This is Raleigh Fingers. Good picture. Great handlebar mustache. By applause, who likes this look? Oh. Well, that's really telling. How about this one? No? Oh, by applause, yes. So it wasn't completely silent. That's good. How about this? No? I like this saying, if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. One vote. The guy on the right. That is an interesting look, and he's a Yankee. The guy on the left? No? No votes. Okay, the guy on the left. The guy on the right? Oh. Okay, I think I know what direction you want me to go in. So I told somebody the other day, I said, I think this is my playoff beard. So I'm going to keep this until I get everybody moved into the assisted living and memory care. Once that's done, I'll shave it off, okay? Sound good? All right. I have a little bit of time for questions. Does anybody have any more questions? Maria, can you bring the microphone? Yes, ma'am. Wait just 1 second. Let Maria catch up with you.
Who was it?
Right here.
Right there. Be gentle. It's been a long week. It's one long Monday. No, I'm just kidding.
What I was wondering was, I thought we were gonna have shades of some sort. for
We
the
are.
window.
They're on back order.
Okay, we're still gonna have it.
Yeah,
The glare's really terrific.
it is. I agree. Wait, the shades, they're supposed to be blackout shades on these frosted windows. Yeah. We're also having the same back order problem with residences too. The apartments, they're on back order too. Yes.
How will we walk from the Windsor building to the car lot?
How?
Yeah, I mean, what exit, do we just go out and walk?
You can walk the driveway if you want, but the best way is to go on the 3rd floor from Windsor to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th floor. Walk across the bridge and you can get there from there.
Assisted living's third, CB four.
Assisted living is on the 3rd floor, right, of Windsor, but eventually that'll be independent living. Yeah, but you can walk 4th and 5th floor is the easiest way probably.
So we won't be using the exit that's being closed off now at all?
No, you won't have to. And I know you sent me a lot of questions, and those are more around assisted living, and I'm gonna have Joe Sanchez, the assisted living director, reach out to you. And then if you have any leftover questions that he couldn't answer, then I'll visit with you. And we can have lunch so people have something to talk about. Like, why is he having lunch with them? Okay,
Well, there's a lot of confusion amongst some people, including me,
yeah.
and I'm not getting the answers here. So
There's answers to everything.
Who do I ask about it?
I'll have Joe visit with you.
Okay.
We're gonna reach out to you.
All right, thank you.
But it was too many questions to answer in this venue.
I was just looking at the slides and I'm a little confused on, it sounded like there was going to be no visitor parking initially, but maybe down the line, or did I misinterpret that?
Probably not visitor parking, like random visitor parking in the garage. The idea is to use the parking garage for those people that visit the campus often.
Right.
So those people, we're starting with caregivers and private sitters that are here more than 20 hours a week. And then we will, as time goes on, expand that to include others. So maybe you have a housekeeper that visits once a week, or a loved one that visits once a week. Then we'll expand it to include those folks. But they need to have a key fob that allows them access to the garage. And we'll just visit with it every few weeks to see where we're at. But the idea is to maintain as much visitor parking as possible above ground.
Before COVID, you used to have a birthday party each month for all the residents that had a birthday.
I know,
Are
I
you
miss
going to
that.
start that back up?
I think
again?
we should.
I think
don't
so
you?
too.
Do you all like that birthday
Yes.
party? I miss that too. Well, I will talk to Bruce about that. If I get to keep the beard. No, I'm just kidding.
Have you done anything about checking into how we could order our dinner online? I don't think J.D. Power knows how we order our dinner
Yeah.
and how we have to call 3 or 4 times to get through.
Yeah, we're actually looking into a new resident portal that has that functionality. And we're also visiting with people that do our portal now. Their Care Merge is the name of the company, and we're trying to explore that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to know how long we're going to live here, but one of the things coming down the road we read a lot about, and I know I think you've mentioned it, but I haven't heard it in these plans, and that's for electric cars, where we'll be able to plug in and recharge the cars. That the industry is working on 35 as the time to phase it in.
In California.
Well, the car companies are preparing for that.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, how is that in your thinking?
So I have addressed it here previously, but one of the things I had done in the Carlisle building was junction boxes put in every few spaces so that we can add electrical charging stations easily. The Windsor is going to be a little bit larger retrofit, but it can be done. And then we need to decide how that electricity is paid for. So I think, you know, if you have an electric car and you're charging it, we probably need to have some kind of, you know, financial offset, whether it's like $50 a month or something like that. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. I thought about it on the Carlisle. It really wasn't much thought of on the Windsor building, unfortunately. But there's enough flexibility that we should be able to provide those spaces. It's a matter of installing conduit and junction boxes, you know, to allow it. But we can do that as the need arises. Yeah.
I'm glad to report that about 120 to 130 people are currently using the Westminster portal. And that's a very good number, and the AT is considering of giving the option to the residents, if you don't want paper records, you can get it all from the portal. So I encourage people who have not loaded the portal in theirs to come and load and do. The IT help group will do that.
Back to the idea of the new Wi-Fi, if we currently are Spectrum clients, will the bandwidth be the same with that provided by the new junction boxes?
I don't know what bandwidth you have. There's different levels that you can purchase. But it is, I can tell you that the bandwidth that will be provided in your apartments should be able to power all of your devices. So it should be plenty. I wouldn't think that after this installation, you would even need to have your own private anymore. But I'm not going to tell you to discontinue. That's a decision you need to make on your own.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep. I think we have time for one more up here. Oh, sorry. Okay. Two more, one and that one.
Are we gonna have visitor parking for the guest quarters?
Yes. Yeah, we do. Well, and we're actually picking up quite a few visitor parking spaces along the MOPAC wall. It's about 60 spaces total, I think. So it's quite a bit, and we're trying to do everything we can to keep those open for that purpose and others.
I know the elevators in the Preston especially are not the newest in town, but anything about what I like to call the West Wing or Wing A, you've been down for 2 weeks.
I know, and I'm sorry. The A-wing elevator, actually, we had both the B-wing elevator and A-wing elevator modernized. We put in new mechanicals on both those elevators. We had less trouble with the old mechanicals than we do the new one. And you know, what we try to do is we try to plan for the useful life of items like that, large equipment items, and we try to project when the useful life is up on a device like an elevator. And that's why we modernized it. Unfortunately, what's holding it up is some parts, and those parts haven't come in. As soon as they do, we will get that elevator up and running. And I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, because I know it is a true inconvenience.
Some of us don't do stairs as well as others.
I agree, and you know, I would just suggest that, you know, you use another elevator. But I know it's a little bit more walk.
I had a question about the spectrum situation. Someone told us, one of the technical people, I believe, said that with the spectrum that we have, we can record television programs, but with the spectrum that's being provided, if we drop ours and pick that one up, we wouldn't be able to do any recording.
That is true. That's true. We don't pay for DVRs. You can upgrade the package and get your own DVR, but we did not pay for DVR package. Right? Yes. That's
It's a
true.
good idea for the future, though.
It's just one more expense if you're willing to pay for it. How many of you use DVRs? Yeah, quite a few. I think there was,
Well,
I got, this will be it, okay, because I've got to get back to work, believe it or not.
who are they?
This is more relaxation than work, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, again, on the new box, a good many of us have digital telephones via the coax. Will those be available through the new system?
No,
Okay, thank you.
but, you know, I mean, it's up to you. Again, that's kind of why it's up to you. A lot of people don't use hardwired phones anymore, they're using their cell phone only. I don't even have a hardwired phone in my house, but that's an individual choice, but it doesn't provide that. But you can get phones that'll ride over your Wi-Fi that have the feel of a hardline phone, if that's something you want to do. Thank you all so much.